Welcome, everybody, to the Miami Hurricanes 2024 season football review. We can look back and talk about the season that went unfold for the Miami Hurricanes. As the college football season still goes on, we can now properly run through the entire season all over again, what went right and what went wrong. And trust me, there is plenty of wrongs that kind of foreshadowed the right, even though the other side of things has been excellent. So we're going to go over this. We get Cam Ward from the transfer portal, and we get some others from the transfer portal. The recruitment of Mario Cristobal has been spot on regarding the 4-star, 5-star, even some occasional 3-stars that would surprise people. Hence, Patrick Mahomes is a prime example. But we start off the season at Gainesville, Florida, where the Hurricanes took care of business in Gainesville, beating the Florida Gators 41-17. So that alone, at the time, I thought was a really big win for the Miami Hurricanes. It's not often that we get to beat the Gators. It is also not often that we beat them in Gainesville or even beat the SEC school. So that alone is a big win alone. But actually, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Then we go to Hard Rock, our first home opener, to really see what Cam Ward is capable of in Restrepo. Cam Ward has been spot on throwing 300-yard passes each and most of the game. This one's against Florida A&M, and they had no problems against Florida A&M. No problem at all against Florida A&M. Next game against Ball State, 62-0. We don't have to talk much about that one. Then the game, we go to Tampa to play against the South Florida Bulls, where we're really going to see what the defense was capable of. And the defense has been struggling in the first half. But the second half, run, and run, especially with Daniel Martinez and Jordan Lyle. That alone put the Hurricanes ahead 50-15 over South Florida Bulls, concluding the non-conference play. Then we go to ACC. This is where the defense are really tested, and really the whole Miami Hurricanes team has been tested because the Hurricanes defense from this point forward is Virginia Tech. They really struggle against ACC teams. One of the games against Virginia Tech, I was at that game. I saw everything. I vlogged it all. It was crazy on its own. The defense is just having a hard time to get them. You have the officiating that has been pretty dog shit. And Virginia Tech was trying to surprise people, but at the end, it all came down to one call from that one pass. From Kyron Jones, from Virginia Tech, which they initially called it a touchdown, but because of the fact that the rear end was out of bounds while he had possession, while he had a football first, that's an incomplete. So that's the rule there. They call it a controversial win for the Hurricanes. No, it wasn't. You have to read the rules. Yeah, that was a crazy finish with the Miami Hurricanes. This one was even crazier. See, in the preview, I called the Hurricanes to lose this game, and they were right on their way of getting their first loss against California. However, the Hurricanes came storming back in the fourth quarter, and they have taken the lead against California in the West Coast. Me and my friend were up until 2:30 in the morning watching this game. Watching the Hurricanes make that crazy comeback against California Golden Bears. And Hurricanes win this one 39-38 against Cal. It's amazing how they're in the ACC when the ACC is meant for Atlantic Coast Conference, but they're in the West Coast. Next up, this was a shootout between the Miami Hurricanes and the Louisville Cardinals. We go to Louisville. We saw our old friend Donald Chaney, who had some runs in. from there and there, the defense was really tested. Actually, both defenses came in and are tested. The reason why we won this game really is our offense. Our offense is why we won this game. Most of the possessions, if not all, were from Cam Ward and stuff like that. A couple of times where they held us in. The one key touchdown that really feels like we won this game, even though it feels like we didn't as well, is the Aguilar fumble return. A strip fumble from the Hurricanes to Louisville, where we scored that fumble 6, and then they won that. They probably won this game because of it, because it was a key difference maker. But also too, they gave up a 100-yard kickoff return, and it goes right back to square one. So at the end of the day, it all came back to offense, and this was a pretty darn good win for the Hurricanes. But the biggest win to me is against FSU, where the Hurricanes dominated FSU 36-14. Had no real problems against FSU, no real problems at all, and they took care of business at Hard Rock against FSU. I always love beating Florida State. Manny Diaz and the Duke Blue Devils comes into town, gave us a hard time again. Our defense still having a hard time. In the end, it all came down to offense. At one point, Duke had a 28-17 lead. We're thinking Manny Diaz revenge. But long balls from Cam Ward won us the game, 53-31 against Duke. And then finally, we go to Atlanta, and we suffered our first loss of the season, where I really question this defense, especially the pass rush. They have 2 quarterbacks playing in the game for Georgia Tech, and they could not stop the run game. We expect a run, okay? We expect a run, and we could not stop the running game for some reason. You have to expect that. And when they throw the football, they don't often throw a football, but the pass is spot on. At that point, I really questioned Miami's defense. That day alone, November 9th, one of the worst days in South Florida history regarding sports. This day was bad, and we suffered our first loss. Georgia Tech continues to have bragging rights against Miami, beating the number 4 Miami Hurricanes in Atlanta. It was bad. It was a tough one to swallow. Then the next game they go against Wake Forest. The defense had problems in the first half. No problems at all in the second half, as the Hurricanes pretty much put in the show against Wake Forest. And then the next one, Syracuse, where the Hurricanes lost a tough loss against Syracuse, where we had a 21-0 lead to start the game, and the Hurricanes just dropped the ball. The Hurricanes blew it, and we have lost this game 42-38 because our defense was a no-show. It was a no-show from our defense. It all came down to a shootout too, and Cristobal elected to kick the field goal, knowing that we had no chance. So, actually, we had a chance, but we just can't seem to get down the field. Our defense was a no-show this one. This was a really big game, and they couldn't win this one, and we were not able to go to ACC championship because of it. And then finally, the Pop-Tarts ball, where 42-41 against Iowa State. This is one where I feel like the Canes had a chance. They were scoring touchdowns every drive, most of the time anyway. And again, our defense was a no-show. We led the game 31-28 at the end of the half. And then this sparks a lot of debates regarding Canes fans, regarding Cam Ward. Did he elect to not play in the second half, or did Cristobal say, Cam, do not play in the second half. Let Emery play. That sparked some debates. Whatever the case that may be, we all know by now Cam Ward did not play in the second half. Emery Williams did. It all came down to running play, and our defense failed to stop Iowa State, and then with the final record 10-3, we had nothing to show for it. That's why the season is disappointing. We have nothing to show for what was a really good season for the Miami Hurricanes. This was embarrassing on its own. But what's even more embarrassing is some of the teams that we played against, especially in the state of Florida. Don't forget, we beat the Florida Gators 41-17. Gators won a bowl game. We beat South Florida 50-15. They won a bowl game. You see what I mean? They have lower records and they won a bowl game. They have something to show for it. We finished the season 10-3 with nothing to show for. You see what I mean? This is why Lance Guidry got fired. He got fired for a reason. Okay? We were calling for it. They listened. He was incapable of coaching the defense in a big game like Syracuse, Iowa State. Last year when we had that choke league against Georgia Tech, we had opportunities to take control with the defense, and they just did not. That's why he got fired, and that's a shame too, because I have no doubt he's a good guy, but he could not coach. So what went right? What went wrong? What could they do? Well, the offense was clearly the right. The quarterback situation was pretty good, especially Cam Ward. They have a good offensive powerhouse with Cam Ward when he is locked in, and when he's locked in, he is dangerous. He lost 2 games. He lost 2 games in the season. That's how good he is. Okay. The running game has been really solid. You got Dan Martinez playing good. Mark Fletcher, as dangerous as he is, but the sleeper Jordan Lyle, he's ready to play some big games next season. And then Restrepo has been awesome too. And another thing too, he didn't play in the bowl game too. I wished he did, but the offense was completely good. What went wrong? Well, I already talked about it. The defense. What went wrong? I understand we won 10 games, but again, we have nothing to show for it because our defense was just giving up touchdowns out of touchdowns. If we're meant to be the top 4 team in the NCAA, you need to have a good defense, and they did not. They did not at all once they get to ACC play. The average they give up is roughly 14 and over. Okay, the big average is, I want to say 30. Okay, 31 points they would give up. The average. Okay, they given up 34 to Virginia Tech. They gave up 38 from California. They gave up 45 from Louisville. They gave up 31 from Duke. They gave up 28, and that was when we lost that game to Georgia Tech. And then 38 again against Syracuse, and then 42 from Iowa State. Also lost the game. You see what I'm talking about? That this is where it went wrong. Our defense. There needs to be big changes regarding the defense. And I know that Cristobal at this moment in time is doing some big recruitment for our defense. But they need to bring in a defensive coordinator that knows how to win a ball game, a big game, and knows a NCAA type of caliber defense that can do some damage in a regular season and then beyond that point. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna do a Miami Hurricanes season next season in 2025. I'm not sure if I will, but I'm also not sure if I'm not gonna do it. You see what I mean? So I'm contemplating next season as well as the Miami Dolphins football, but I'll see. I'll see what I'm doing next season regarding the Hurricanes, because I love football, but football doesn't love me. You see what I mean? Anyway, there you go. That's the Miami Hurricanes review. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for content. As always, go Canes. As it pains me to watch this team just went into complete turmoil since the early 2000s. There has to be some change with the defense. And the offense needs to stay locked in with Shannon Dawson. Okay, because I think Shannon Dawson's a pretty good offensive coordinator. But they need to bring in a good defense. Otherwise, we have nothing to show for a long time, and it sucks. So anyway, that's gonna do it. If you like this video, once again, hit the like button, subscribe for content, because Miami TVG has you back when he does. He'll be right there with you for your entertainment you deserve. Coming up next, the Miami Dolphins season review. And yeah, folks, I'll see you guys in the next video. Good night. Well, actually, have a good day.